Hello, assalamu alaikum, namaste, Sat Sri Akal. My name is Farheen Khan and you're watching the Azeeza show. We've had some really interesting stories over the last several shows. We've got a lot of our shows have been focused on women and their courage and their resilience and their strength. So today with me, I have Sarah Khan, Samreen Sultana, and Samira Taibali, and we are so excited to have you all here. You've all come, back from a trip very recently, and I wanted to, I remember before you even left, I was like, okay, when you come back, you need to tell us what that experience was like. So I'm going to jump right into it. Tell us, what was your trip and how did it go?
Okay, I can start. So as you know, we went to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which is in Tanzania. So I guess each of us had our own little learning from it. So I can speak to mine, which was as hard as it may have been, it was also very enlightening because you learned a lot about, like you said, the resilient part of yourself, but your physical strength and the ability of how much you can push your will to complete something as tough as Kilimanjaro.
Okay.
Yes, no, definitely. It was one of the most epic trips that I have taken in my life, and mentally, emotionally, and physically challenging, but it also proves to you and that if you can do something like that, and just you can do pretty much anything when you put your mind to it.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think, echoing what Sarah and Samreen said, not only a physical challenge, but at the end it's really just mind over matter. I don't think any of us were completely prepared, and I don't think anyone really can be completely prepared for a challenge like that. You read as much as you want and do the research online, read people's blogs, but until you're actually on the mountain and it's you alone, you have to make it to the top. You have to use your will and push yourself to the top. So
tell us, for the audience who doesn't know Kilimanjaro, tell us how large it is, tell us how long it took you.
So it's the tallest mountain in Africa,
Okay.
5,895 meters. Yes. So you can do varying routes, I think, depending on what you want to book. So we took what's called the whiskey route, and our plan was to do that hike in 6 days and 5 nights.
Okay, and did you manage?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
So we did all manage to summit, some of us to a certain point, and then there were others who did go all the way to the Uruhu peak. And during that journey, I think because we were doing it separately, we were doing our summit on the last day, we each sort of had our own experiences as well while we were climbing.
Yeah, because I think even though we went together, one of the things we had agreed is that when we get there on the last day, because the summit day is the hardest day by far, and we said that if you're there and you're at the top, if you're on your way, if you're going, go all the way. Don't wait for anybody. We'll all do our own thing that day.
Right.
Yeah. Because we had our own pace, especially the last day. For the first 5 days we were all together. The last day we were summiting, it was, I would have to say, like the most challenging, and that's something that you can't prepare for because the altitude changes, the oxygen level changes, so every body works differently. It's going to react differently. Right. So all three of us, we were at a different level, and we summited at different times. So, but we still made it, alhamdulillah, and it was amazing.
So tell me, how many, the 5 days, I'm just trying to paint a picture for the audience so they really understand, right? Like how difficult this was. So describe to us, on each of those days, what were you doing basically for 5 or 6 days?
Climbing up.
Just keep ascending because it's a mountain. So you climb, you hike 1 day, 5 hours, you camp, you rest, and then each day becomes a little harder, a little challenging.
And it's steep and you're going.
Yes,
right?
yes, and our porters, our guides were so amazing. They helped us out so much, and the last day it's pretty steep. and you're basically climbing rocks, big
Right.
bulldozers.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too, is that so when you go hiking here, we go to Kelso to hike,
Yeah,
and you know there's
yeah.
a trail and everything's nice.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no real there's no trail as much as
Right.
there's a route to
Yeah.
climb.
Right.
There isn't really a trail, so there was different days we were climbing over different terrain. Like one day was like muddy kind of terrain. The other day was we're climbing over big boulders and rocks.
Right.
Yeah, one day was rainforest, it was beautiful. Like that was
Yeah.
the first day.
That was the first day,
and
yeah.
it was amazing.
And then the last
yeah.
day is scree, which is basically like sandy rock. So
Right.
that
Okay.
makes the summit even more challenging. Is that it's not
Yeah.
flat, packed ground that you're climbing up.
Right.
And it's something you can't physically, like we were talking about this before. You can train. You should definitely train. That would be the smartest thing to do. Go to the gym, go to hikes, which we all three of us did before the hike. And we were so prepared. We're like, why can't this happen sooner? We just want to do it this now because we were so ready.
Right.
But once you're there, it's just, it's mind over matter, like Samir said, and different things are gonna could hit you.
Yeah,
like
different things.
altitude will hit you, and oxygen level is gonna decrease. But physically, yes, definitely prepare yourself. But in order to climb a mountain, to prepare for that, you just climb another mountain, which we don't have here.
The other thing also, to give everyone a little bit more on the day, we would climb up at a higher elevation, but we would sleep at a lower elevation. So that would be our camp. So we would start early morning, hike for as many hours as we would, and then camp at a lower level, and then start again. Sometimes it would be 6 in the morning, sometimes it would be later, and then, so each day would be served breakfast, or we would have lunch boxes provided by them, or we would stop to have lunch. So each day would be different. Our terrains would be different. Our sort of mood and emotional behavior would be different as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what helped us too was there was a good sense of humor between us. So I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
that camaraderie,
Yeah.
I think that really helped
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Because there were days that it was hard. Like it's not, people say climb a mountain.
It's not a walk in the park.
Yeah, it's not. It is actually physically climbing a mountain. So
Yeah. No,
I think
that's true.
having people to kind of experience the misery as well with you helps. Like,
Right.
they say misery loves company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say that also to say that it was still an epic experience.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what inspired you all to go? Why did you go?
Wow. I think fate just, connected
yeah.
us, I would say. And I mean, it's something I know I always wanted to do. I wanted to do Mount Everest. And, I met these fabulous ladies through fabulous Farheen. And we all basically had the same interest and ambition. So I think we decided, okay, you know what, Kilimanjaro came up and why not? Yes, let's do this. And the fact that we actually made a plan and did it, it
That's
actually
remarkable.
surprises a lot of people when I talk to them.
No, I know, and I mean, I know we even discussed like me coming along, right?
Yeah.
It just didn't happen. So I'm really, really proud of all of you for going. Like,
Thank you.
Thanks.
it's just so amazing. So why don't we kind of switch gears a bit? So you talk about you getting into the getting to the summit, and that was a very difficult process, right, for each of you in their own way. So can you tell us what was it that kept you motivated in those moments when it was very difficult for you to keep going?
I think for me, it just became becoming really present in the moment. I don't think there was a point where I got really sick with altitude from day 3. So I was barely eating anything, barely keeping any food down when I was eating anything. So I was physically exhausted. I was mentally beaten because I felt like, oh my God, look at me. I thought I was fit and here I am. I'm falling apart basically.
Right.
But then it became a very kind of being present in the moment. Don't think about, oh, you have to do this big hike today. It was literally just, I'm going to put this boot on, and I would just put the boot on and then put the other boot on. And then just next step after next step. Don't think too far ahead. Be present in the moment. I think that really helped me to keep going.
Okay.
I sort of echo what Samira said, and I remember a particular incident during the hike where I used to be very sort of eager to know what the terrain would look like, how many hours do we still have to go, and I would constantly ask. I was that little annoying kid, it's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? I remember one of the guides sitting me down saying, live in today because that's all you can control. The next few hours, you don't have any control in. So live the best you can right now and just focus on now because 2 seconds later, it's gone.
It's gone.
So I think for me also, it was just knowing that, first of all, I have to do it. I can't be that person that goes back and says, no, I didn't do this. And then, of course, your own personal experiences sort of push you to keep going and meet that mark. And then living in today. And there were, as Samira said earlier, like there are moments where you sort of feel emotionally or even physically, but your companionship is what motivates you as well. So there are moments where you're just completely like, no, I can't do this. But then you have friends who are pushing you. So that, at least for me, worked.
Yeah, I think that was the thing where we would keep asking, so how many more hours? And the whole point was the hike's going to take as long as it's going to take. It doesn't matter if they tell you, oh, it's a 4-hour hike. Well, you know, it takes as long as it takes. So you just have to like live the moment.
Yeah. No, I remember. I mean, I agree with both of them. And I know for me, like, I would not look up as when it was so steep because I didn't want to get demotivated. So I just looked at my feet and I just looked at like few steps in front of me because that I only needed that to go forward. And same thing in life, you know, sometimes we just look at what's going to happen after 5 years or 10 years. Like, you know, Samir and Sarah said, live in the moment, live into today, don't worry about tomorrow. And don't worry about what's coming next. Just as long as you can take those steps in front of you right now, you'll get there.
Okay. So what type of preparation did you guys do before you left? What was that like?
We did some hiking. We did a lot of hiking outside, which I would recommend if you're planning on doing this. Hike with a backpack, a heavy backpack.
Okay.
That I think was the one thing I was lacking. I didn't do very many hikes with a backpack that was heavy because you have to carry your daily pack.
Right.
The other thing, I did a lot of spinning. Stairmaster at the gym. That's the best one, I think, because that will replicate what it feels like on the hike the most. And yoga, so just kind of a bunch of cross training over 4 or 5 months. We try to keep it consistent. It's difficult to keep yourself motivated, but then I printed out the hike, you know, the duration and distances, and I kind of had that stuck to remind me of what was coming.
What was coming?
Yeah,
Okay,
it keeps
sounds
you going.
Awesome. So, I guess one of the things I want to ask is, like, you know, if somebody was to think about this, what would be some advice for them? Why don't we take a quick break and then we'll be back in a minute. We'll be back. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Azeeza Show. My name is Farheen Khan, and today I have with me my guests, and we're talking about the trip to Kilimanjaro that these wonderful women have done, which is quite remarkable. So tell me, you know, we were just talking before the break. I wanted to kind of ask you, you know, there's one thing to like physically climb a mountain, there's another to sort of metaphorically climb a mountain in a person's life, right? We all go through really difficult times, and you know, I'm really curious to know, as I'm sure the audience is, what was the most difficult moment that you had on that mountain, and how did you really, maybe each of you can kind of tell us what your experience was like, and just like, you know, what was it that really you learned from that experience? You know, what was it what impression did that leave on you?
I guess I can go first. So there were, I think, 2 definitely big moments during the trip that sort of broke me down. One was the very last day and the day of the summit. And the day of the summit, because you're physically exhausted, but you're also trying to push yourself to constantly just go up. And at one point I had just given up and I was ready to turn back down. It was my guide who said, no, you know, you're here. If you're here this far, what's stopping you to keep going the next few hours? And that sort of resonated with me, and that sort of applies to your life as well. That you know, we're doing so good. We've come so far. Continue at it. Why do you need to stop? Push. Use all your willpower that you have, all the strength in your body or in your mind that you have to constantly keep going. Because when you get to that point, when you reach your destination, that's when you realize, you know what? I thought I wasn't capable of doing this, but I am. Like, you surprise yourself and you have this utmost respect about yourself, that you know what, this is what I did, nobody else but me. So I guess that's sort of my view on it.
Okay, well.
I guess for me, I know when we landed, I couldn't sleep. The first night I just couldn't sleep all night, and the next day we had to hike. And I was like, how am I going to do it? I was just anxious. Maybe it was excitement and I was anxious, I was nervous, I'm not sure, but I got up and I'm like, you know what, I'm here, I'm going to do this. And I hiked, and the fact that we were in a rainforest, we were in a different country, I was with amazing people, and I had the support, so that kept me going. And but I remember there were times where it just got really hard. Like insomnia hit me pretty bad during this trip, and other things like physically, like I was okay for the most part until the summit day when the oxygen level decreased. And there were times I was just like, okay, it's too hard. But like I told myself, even in general in life, we all go through things, and we manage it, and we have the support, and we don't give up. So no, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep going. And trust me, and anyone who's done this is, that just motivation, that courage that kept me going. And the guides were amazing, they kept motivating me too. And when I reached that summit on top of Kilimanjaro, it was beautiful, and it was worth it. And it's hard work, but I didn't give up. And even in life, like things get hard, you want to break down, and you're gonna fall on the ground many times, because I did. But I picked myself up and I kept going. And so the biggest thing I take away from this is that in life we keep going. There's sometimes there are no breaks, and you just want to keep going and don't give up. And at the end, it's gonna be worth it. And you just don't conquer a mountain, you conquer yourself at the end. And when you're at the top, because you feel like you're on the top of the world and you can do anything. And that's what I feel like. I came back and I feel like in life I can do anything I put my mind to. I have so much courage, and this amazing high that I feel is it's beautiful. I don't know how to explain it. It's just amazing. And just don't give up, keep going, because you know what, you'll reach your destination, you'll reach your goal, and you'll feel amazing. Yes.
Oh, that's great, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'd echo. I mean, the most difficult thing for me was when the altitude sickness started to hit me, and I think it hit me the worst out of the three of us. Like I mentioned earlier, after day 3, when we hit our first highest point, which is 4,600 meters, I was miserable. I really was just like, I want to quit. I don't need to climb a mountain. It's fine. I came this far. I didn't make it. Big deal. And then it just kind of was like, okay, well, you came this far. You can't quit. Like you've started something. You have to finish. You have to just keep going. And then I think both Sarah and Samreen have mentioned in their comments a little bit, but support is huge. When you think, it is up to you at the end. Yeah, you have to pick yourself up, you have to go, but having support makes a huge difference. So if in your life, if you're in a difficult spot, if you're, in a place where you feel like you don't have an out, because this is what it was like on the mountain, there was no quitting. You couldn't I'm just gonna go back down now. That really wasn't an option. If you can find the support of people, they'll lift you up. They'll help you carry yourself forward, and that makes a big difference.
So here's a question that comes to mind. What's next for all of you?
Wow.
Everybody keeps asking.
We were discussing that. Yeah.
Mount Everest, right? That's what we're doing.
I think it was funny though, because Samreen mentioned that Everest was on her list, and I remember like a really funny memory when we had got back to the hotel after the hike. My first question to Samreen was, okay, so Everest next? And she's like, no, I think I've had it with mountains
For now.
For now, and then we said, okay, you know what, right now don't talk to me about anything, because it was amazing, it was challenging, and I think I just want to take a break. And it's funny, I was telling the ladies, I don't want to go back to the gym anytime soon, because it just reminds me, the Stairmaster, like I'm still climbing the mountain, so I'm starting like slowly but surely, starting with yoga. So just kind of easing my way into it. But I think we were talking about.
We were just talking about Everest.
Yes, yeah, we were talking about Mount Everest because
just the base camp.
Base
no?
camp, yes.
Yeah.
just the base camp, because it's funny. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a sign. I keep getting emails on like different from different companies about Mount Everest, and I'm like, is this a sign?
No,
What
it's
is
just
it?
you were clicking on stuff, so they're following you. Right?
Yeah, they're following me. So.
We're going to take it as a sign.
Yeah,
right?
we'll take it as a sign, but I think that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So what advice would you have for anybody who's looking to actually do this Kilimanjaro hike or any other
I would
mountain?
say, research the routes. Pick a route that works for you, because there are options to take longer routes.
Yeah.
Right.
Train. Train with the backpack. Train as much as you can. Walk a lot. Hike a lot. And go with people that are going to have your back on that mountain.
Yeah, because seriously, like, we had met maybe a year ago before we went on to this trip, and you know I can speak for myself that I know Sarah and Samira, but not to that level, like you know, the level that I have, the friendships that I've had like for 10 years. So really didn't know how it's gonna turn out. You know, you travel with women, when women, it could be amazing, it could be a lot of drama, you don't know, but seriously, it just, I had no expectations. I'm just gonna climb that mountain, and it's amazing. Like, I'm going with people who I know, so that support is there. But seriously, we had each other's backs. We were there for each other, and
it's like a sisterhood, right?
It was we were like, we're sisters, and you know, and we were just there for each other, and it just showed so much that, you know, it just made our bond and friendship stronger, I feel. So that was amazing. But definitely, anyone who wants to do it, definitely do it. Prepare yourself. Drink lots of water. Water is medicine, as we definitely like got to find out, and train and have the budget for this, because it's not a cheap trip, and
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow, definitely.
flow.
Pole pole, as they say in
Pole
Africa. Slowly.
Slowly,
Yes.
slowly. Okay.
Yeah.
Any last minute like thoughts or messages for anybody who's interested in doing this? Anything else you want to talk about the mountain that we haven't talked about?
I think one thing I would add is, for anyone who's looking to do something like this, be it Kilimanjaro or any other mountain, go in with a positive outlook.
Okay.
You could read, you know, blogs or videos or watch all of that. It might be a little scary, but don't let that get to you, because that's their experience. You will live your own experience and create your own experience. So go in with a positive outlook. You know, as the ladies said, train, all of that, and rent a porta potty, because that would be helpful.
Oh, that's right. The one luxury on
Yeah,
the
the
mountain.
one luxury.
Okay.
But it's very important to go in with also that mindset that I'm doing this to either learn something about myself, and also metaphorically sort of break down a challenge that I'm facing in my life right now, because that was one of the things that I did, and I sort of came out of it a little bit of a winner. So I would say definitely a positive outlook would help.
And you have a blog that you started, Sarah? Can you tell us about that?
It has been something that I wanted to do for a very long time. And that's another thing, like after Kilimanjaro, at Samreen and Samira said, you feel you're on such a high that you're like, oh, something that you didn't or couldn't do before. You're like, yeah, I climbed a mountain, I could do this. So I started writing about my experience. It's just a start. It's called hanpeditions.wordpress.com.
Okay.
So it's talking about my story, basically on how I did Kilimanjaro, and has beautiful pictures from Samira's Instagram, and you know, her beautiful photography is there as well.
Okay, awesome. Amazing. So, I just, you know, I think that this has been like, I'm so grateful that both, like, all of you came into the show. I mean, I think that, you know, for a lot of our viewers, you know, we've talked to a lot of women who have climbed their own, you know, metaphorical mountains, so to speak, and have come out, you know, on the other side. But to actually do a physical mountain, you know, and to actually really push yourself to that point. I mean, I can't even imagine. I think when I was in Vancouver, I did Grouse Mountain, which is like maybe a quarter of the height of Kilimanjaro, and that took me several hours. And I remember, you know, going up like maybe a third of it and being like, I think I'm done. I don't know.
That was us every day.
Day one,
Yeah,
day
just
two,
keep
day
going,
three.
take one step at a time. Eventually I'll get there. I'm
Yeah.
not going to think about how much further I need to go.
Exactly.
And I did it on my own. So I remember, like, you know, that was really difficult because then it's like you're alone, right? Like, how do you keep yourself motivated? But thankfully, it wasn't an issue of altitude sickness and stuff like that. So the fact that, you know, you came as sisters, as friends that, you know, supported each other, that is, in and of itself, is quite huge as well. It's very inspiring and very remarkable. You know, as women, we want to, you know, support one another and stick together and, you know, not just inspire each other, but really push ourselves, right, to achieve great heights. So this has been really, really exciting. Thank you all for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
And hopefully we'll, you know, see you all again after you do Mount Everest. Inshallah. You guys can tell us how that was.
Sounds great. Thanks.
All right. So thanks so much, everyone, for being here today. As you heard, we have quite an amazing, you know, group of women here who've done some really inspiring work, I would say, and just, you know, have inspired us by climbing this significant mountain. So whether you're climbing a mountain physically or metaphorically, this is something that is possible for all of us. We just have to try. Thanks so much. See you next week.